Tonight on Point-Counterpoint, zombies. Are they really the scourge of the earth, or are they just a misunderstood part of the population? For some on the left, they say not so fast on getting out your gun or hatchet. But on the right, it's shoot first, sort out the bodies later. Joining me tonight is President and activist John Brown for the Zombie Rights Campaign, a non-charitable organization that supports legislation for equal rights for all humans, living or dead. And also in studio, Representative Chuck Gregson, a representative of the 42nd District whose hardline stance on zombies has raised some concerns. Gentlemen, good to have you here. Representative Gregson, let me start with you. You've taken a pretty hardline approach in regards on how to handle the alleged zombie disturbances. In fact, you've introduced legislation to create quarantine camps by the CDC and even hinted at the idea that some of these zombies could be placed into segregated camps where they could be used for cheap labor.
Look, let's be very clear on this. Once an individual has become infected, he's just not a real person anymore. This notion that a zombie is someone who can just revert back to his former self is a totally unrealistic proposition. Now, once an area has been declared infected, the authorities have to move quickly in order to create a containment. That is why I propose my bill, ZDI 27.2, which gives authorities flexibility in dealing with a zombie outbreak.
Mr. Brown, what do you have to say about that? Communities can get caught off guard when a zombie outbreak moves quickly through a centralized area.
Mr. Gregson fails to accept the fact that this is an issue of equal rights. These people do not suddenly stop being citizens, living or dead. But I also want to address his comment regarding a person just isn't a person anymore. I instead like to think of them as differently animated. His notion that he is just ready to write off anybody simply because they show, in his words, zombie traits, is just showing zombie prejudice.
Representative Gregson?
Look, we've seen time and time again in various communities that zombie outbreaks can be catastrophic if we don't have in place various hardline strategies.
That's simply not true. Mr. Gregson, you're cherry-picking your data from one report that was discounted by the National Zombie Defense Initiative.
Mr. Brown can argue all he wants about how happy and fluffy zombies are, but when I come face to face with one, I want to see it taken down.
Let's change the subject for a second. Mr. Brown, you held a series of rallies throughout the Midwest to help raise awareness for your cause. What's been the reaction?
We are seeing a growing movement. This started as purely a grassroots movement. When people took a hard look and really examined the issues, they start to come over to our side. They just know it's the right thing to do. It really is a civil rights issue.
I just have to chime in here. This is nothing but wild left-wing rhetoric. To suggest that we can coexist with zombies is just totally absurd. Now, I'm not going to get all kinds of...
How can you say you're representative for the people of your district when you discount a portion of them simply because they're different? This is pure prejudice, and you shouldn't even be in office if that's how you judge individuals. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I have faithfully served the living constituents in my district for 16 years. I have been re-elected 8 times.
Yeah, the operative word being living. How about those that are differently animated? Do they just not exist?
Mr. Brown, you need to take all of your zombies and just go and live on your own island.
Fine. I think they would have more compassion than you could ever have, Mr. Gregson.
Well, I don't think we're going to resolve this debate tonight. I'm afraid we're out of time. I want to thank my guest tonight, Representative Chuck Gregson, and activist of the Zombie Rights Campaign, John Brown. And remember, there's two sides to every story. There will always be a point and a counterpoint. Good night.